Corey Feldman.
Let's hear it for Corey.
Corey Feldman.
Hey, Corey, how you doing, buddy?
Corey Feldman.
Corey is back.
He was going for it, and I was really impressed.
He's so talented.
Corey's funky.
The Kid, Corey Feldman on Kiss 96 FM.
Very charming guest host, Mr. Corey Feldman, ladies and gentlemen.
Corey and his band performed his latest single, Go For It, and the segment instantly went viral.
Corey is out of the box, and that's just the way Corey is.
Corey Feldman's a natural-born entertainer. He is one of the most popular child stars of the 1980s. He's most well known for his acting roles in movies like The Goonies, Gremlins, Burbs, Lost Boys, and Stand By Me, but he's also been making music for over 35 years. My name is Jake Perry, and I'm a lifelong Corey fan. Ever since I was a kid, it was my dream to work with the Coreys, and that dream came true. Some of you may recognize me as Corey Feldman's personal assistant from season 2 of the Two Coreys television show. Now I'm back helping Corey Feldman again with another exciting project, the Love Left box set. Corey gave me access to the vaults inside the Feld Mansion. I unearthed a ton of never-seen-before concert footage and unreleased music, and we are finally ready to share this history with you. Love Left is Corey's first album. It came out in 1994, and since then his music career has been picking up speed. In 2013, Corey's song Essential Millennium was a breakthrough video on MTV.com. The next year, he released a music video for his song Duh. In 2016, Corey made charts and headlines again with his song Go For It featuring Snoop Dogg. Most recently, Corey's song You Are Free broke into the top 20 on the Billboard charts. All this with no mainstream record deal. There's no denying Corey Feldman is one of the greatest entertainers of all time. But how did he get into music? And what's his music all about? So let's talk to the man behind the love and find out. When did you realize you wanted to be a musician?
You know, a lot of people don't understand this, but a lot of people have always said this is a very important thing, okay? If you're looking at the overall retrospective of my music career and how it came to fruition, obviously, I grew up in a household with a father who was in a band. So there was always gigging, there was always jamming, there was always rehearsing going on in and around the house, and there was always musicians over. So that was our natural way of life. Secondly, my sister, being a few years older than me, had become a recent cast member of the Mickey Mouse Club when I was 3 years old. She was 7. And that was my childhood, was being around a father who's performing live on stage all the time and a sister who's performing live on stage all the time. So I felt like it was obviously natural that I would eventually end up performing live on stage. That said, I didn't get paid to professionally sing until a few years later when I did a TV movie of the week with Dick Van Dyke called How to Eat Like a Child, which was a live broadcasted television special. The very first album I was bought was Kiss, Love Gun. Shortly after that, my first solo music star that I started kind of really digging and getting into was, of all people, Sean Cassidy. And then, at about 11 years old, my life changed. Because I was sitting with my family in the living room one day, and there was this giant special that came on that they all wanted to watch because it was reminiscent of all their childhoods, because it was all these old fogies and all these classic stars, and the special was called Motown 25. Halfway through the show, I believe, there was this band that I remembered because they were a bunch of kids, and it was called the Jacksons, or the Jackson 5, and I remembered seeing their cartoon on reruns, and I was like, oh yeah, they were like a kids band, let's check them out. And all of a sudden I saw Michael Jackson perform for the first time. And I saw Billie Jean for the first time. And that was it. Because when I saw that Weird Al was able to copy Michael Jackson and get a #1 hit with the same song, well, that was it. This is a miracle. This is how it works. That was how I learned to write. I started by writing parodies, and I took the model of what Weird Al Yankovic was doing to teach myself. I was going to this place called Recording Star, which was like a little karaoke spot where you could make tapes of yourself singing other people's music. The lights are on, but she's not home. Your will is not your own. So I started editing my own mixtapes, and that was my first, really my first record. Nobody knows this. This is the first time I'm revealing this. It wasn't even in my book, but my very first record was a cassette of sketch tapes and parody songs that I put together. God, I wish I had this. And I took one of my headshots, my 8x10s from when I was a little kid. So I'm like, 10 years old, and I was leaning up against a motorcycle, and I've got my hair slicked back and greased. And I took my little 8x10 picture and I glued it in. If you didn't know any better, it looked like a Corey Feldman album. So, I'd pull it out and show it to my friends. I'd be like, yeah, I've got my own record. Yeah, I recorded on and off, starting at 15 with Runaway, which I recorded while I was still living at my dad's apartment, obviously, because we shot the video for it there. But while I was still living at my dad's, while I was working on Lost Boys, that's when I wrote Runaway, right before I ran away.
That it's dangerous for a kid to be out on his own. He could have nowhere to sleep or end up in a scary place.
I mean, it's crazy, really, if you think about how on point that video really is, because it's a moment in time. It's a time capsule, and it's a very powerful time capsule. The concept of Runaway was coming from the perspective of a kid who was very abused. This was my fantasy on how I could survive. It starts off with a shot of a newspaper, and it's just like, the newspaper says, crimes are high in Los Angeles, homeless kids everywhere, or something like that. It pulls back to reveal a man's hand enters the frame, my friend Majestic, who was playing the character of the killer pimp. And the kid was laying on the floor, and he says, hey, what are you doing here? You're a perfectly good white boy. He says, well, you're better than this kid. And then it cuts to black, and then this homeless kid turns into this rock star, and he's wearing all black, and he's got long flowy hair. All of a sudden, he looks like a rock star. And he does this powerful song and dance, and now they've all been zombified into this trance where they have to dance and talk about the fact that they're all part of this big sex trafficking ring, which has been basically created with kids on crack that are runaways. So that was the theme. The kid who everybody called uncoordinated. I couldn't play sports. I had no athletic abilities. I couldn't hold a note or carry a tune to save my life. I was always the guy on the bench, seated last, always the last pick. But something about watching the magic of Michael Jackson's performance and the way he moved and the flow and the groove and the beat and just everything about it inspired me to the point where I said, that's what I want to do. I want to create that magic. I want to create those beats. I want to create something that makes you move. I want to create stuff that you feel compelled, that you cannot stop yourself. You cannot prevent yourself from moving, because you become a slave to the rhythm. It just grabs you and it takes you and it moves you, and you become powerless.
Inspired by the king of pop, Corey begins writing music for his album titled The Kid and records the song Something in Your Eyes for the Dream a Little Dream soundtrack.
We made a deal. I was going to cut the song. I cut the song, did it with Michael Damian. He was great. He showed me a lot when it came to structure.
We got together and we were recording some stuff together and having a great time. And I just know his love and passion for music is, it's so evident. And it was one of those mutual things.
We were all excited for that. We shot the video for Rock On.
Trying to coordinate an album and a soundtrack around a movie release is like a juggling act. And Rock On really wasn't supposed to be one of the lead singles, just so you know.
And that's when I started going out and doing, shows to promote it. So we knew that the Dream a Little Dream soundtrack was going to be a big soundtrack. I had heard Rock On. It was going to be a great single.
Hey kids, rock and roll, rock on.
The only problem is we've pre-recorded all the music for the scenes because we had to do that first. And that's actually going to be Mickey Thomas from Starship. And so he's going to be the one that you're going to be lip syncing as you do the scene. I'm like, no, I can't be lip syncing. I've got to sing for real. If I'm lip syncing, people are going to think that I can't sing.
Oh man, watching Corey lip sync to my song while he's doing the dance is, it always brings a smile to my face.
There were all these plans made that, hey, guess what? Something in Your Eyes is going to be the lead single. And I was like, no way. As soon as I heard that, I went and booked a bunch of stuff.
We did the Magic Mountain shows.
We played shows with Roxy and...
Corey Feldman came with Bubbles once, Michael Jackson's Chimp, and actually performed with the Chimp.
Really?
And I remember a couple times that he had Bubbles.
I don't know how he got the Chimp. I guess he called Michael Jackson, and Michael Jackson loaned Bubbles to Corey. Corey shows up with the Chimp, and it was a great surprise. The kids loved it.
I guess I must have spent a lot more time with Bubbles than I remember. So we did the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards, first performance, me and Mark Harris.
Kids went nuts. They wanted to pull Corey into the audience.
I don't know if you actually see Mark Harris on the video footage at all, but he was there on stage playing drums somewhere. I don't know why, since they obviously didn't have the drums mic'd. Maybe they did. I don't know. I don't remember. I think we did do a sound check even.
These were plastic drums, man, and no one plays on plastic drums. But when you're in a Disney production, it's plastic drums.
Our very charming guest host, Mr. Corey Feldman, ladies and gentlemen. Corey!
So Bud had asked me to host his show Improv Tonight, and I think it was a mistake. I think that was a big mistake, because I think that if I hadn't done that, people probably would have taken my music a lot more seriously from the beginning. But it didn't really make a lot of sense to premiere my music on a comedy show. It wasn't meant to be funny, and I think it really made people confused about what I was trying to present. And that is why that song has become infamous. So after all of that, we missed the deadline for delivery by like 24 hours, according to the label. So we have it in time to put it out for the lead single. We just don't have it in time to make the actual soundtrack album.
We missed the cutoff, which is a drag. And then I'm pretty sure that then went through the pipeline through the Cyprus connection into Canada, and they were able to get it out there.
So the song never ended up on the soundtrack album, but the vinyl singles did actually come out. And that's why every once in a while you will be able to find one of the original vinyl singles, which we are going to include, of course, a picture of so everybody can see for themselves that it did physically exist. And there are still copies out there that can be found if you scour the internet, as some obsessed fans might do. But I started exploring psychedelic writing in the idea and the vein of Pink Floyd. So that is where I started with John Preston.
Boom. The second we talked about music, that was it. That connected us right there.
John was very influential in my early career for a number of reasons, but one of those reasons is he was solely responsible for me signing with BMI and getting my copyright and my publishing started. So if it wasn't for John Preston, who knows if I would have ever even started writing professionally. But what happened was I linked up with John, who was another teenage actor.
I was drawn to Corey, and I think he was drawn to me because of the fact that we knew that we wanted to collaborate on something. He had the drive, and he always inspired to get more and more into music. As much as he was a creative artist on screen,
his behind the screen creativity was even bigger.
It was 4 songs I think we wrote all together. The first one was called Life is Like Living in a Fishbowl. And we actually performed that song live at my very first full-length concert, which was at the Palace.
Life is Like Living in a Fishbowl was kind of his perception on life in general as a celebrity, how everyone's clawing at you, everyone looks at you, everyone's got you under a microscope, everything you do is critiqued, and everybody wants a piece of you.
Life is like living in a fishbowl. Because we had lost the demo and we never released the song, I took the lyrics from that song and actually used them in a couple other songs. You're famous, you feel like you're literally in a fishbowl. And John and I shared that experience because we would go out in public to places like, Magic Mountain or Disneyland, and all the fans would go, "Wah!" And surround us. So, he was a teen star. I mean, he was in all the teen magazines, so he got it.
Corey was on 2 ends of the spectrum. He was from everything from Michael Jackson to Pink Floyd.
This is going to be the title track of my new album. I'm performing it tomorrow. It's called The Kid.
Kiss 96.
Well, there's a new kid in town, and you're looking at me. You just see what you get, and you get what you see.
We wrote this other thing called Thumb the Finger Man. This would have been right around the time that I shortly joined the band Then Again. I had a song called Thank the Lord, a song called Naked Sleeping, which the title I wrote with Michael Jackson. I had a song called Slammer, which was about relationships. I wrote It's So Simple, and the song called Bottle on the Wall. I'll try and give you the bits that I remember of it, but it was like, children, 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 stop. I'm gonna down the time, pick it down and it's on the toe. There hangs the bottle on the wall. I'd written It So Simple earlier, shortly after License to Drive. And I started dating a girl. She was the date of the guy that was cheating on Heather Graham. So that girl was a Playboy model. And I started dating her when I was only 16 at the time. But I started dating her, and she broke my heart, cheated on me. And I was sitting there in the hotel room. It was like the day that I had, decided I was going to have to break up with her, and I was very depressed. And I started thinking about, why do we hurt each other? Why do people hurt each other? And why can't we just give a little more? Why can't we just do more for everyone? Why can't we help children? Why can't we help starving people? Why can't we just give a little more? Just care a little more? And I think it was self-introspective that brought me to that, but at the end of the day, it came with a great message. It's So Simple actually started in the TV movie 15 and Getting Straight with Drew Barrymore.
It's so simple, I'm not telling you a lie. It's so simple.
And her and I sang that song together, and then Alfonso Ribeiro and I sang that song together, and he was actually on the original recording.
It's so simple. Why do we waste so much time? It's so simple.
We tried to go into the studio and tap into different levels of creativity. We go into the studio sometimes and go, let's drop acid and write music. Let's do shrooms and write music. Let's just smoke weed and write music. Let's do this and write music. And we would try to get in tune with different elements of music, and being young and being creative and having the capability to do that in a harmless environment.
And what came out of those writing sessions was Rock Us Danny, which became one of the cult classics from Rock and Roll High School forever. So Rock Us Danny.
It's rock and roll high school day,
When I made the deal to do Rock and Roll High School forever, I said, okay, I'll do it, but the first movie was crap. I mean, it was, as a filmmaker, you know, you're watching this going, what is this? This is terrible. But for whatever reason, it was the greatest cult sensation in the world. It was on MTV every weekend. Rock and Roll High School, Rock and Roll High School. So, I mean, I was like, well, the Ramones did okay. So I said, fine, but if I do this, I've got to be able to, you know, write the music that we perform. I don't want to be performing other people's music.
We got to go in the studio and we got to sing some backups on Rock Us Danny. That was fun. All of us gathered around the mic doing a little bit of gang vocals. So they let us have a little peek into that process.
I'm a songwriter. I want to write my own music. So they said, that's cool, but we want you to work with these guys, which was a couple. And great sensibility, great musicianship. They formed their own band called Walk the Moon. So we wrote Raucous Danny and we wrote Raucous Danny Part 2.
Raucous Danny, we started talking about this character Danny, and let's write a song about this character and how he developed. And if you listen to the songs, because there's a couple different versions and the trilogy goes on.
That's right, folks, 1989, right before I got sober. Meaning I was out of my freaking mind.
By 1990, the Teen Machine was running on empty. Corey's album The Kid is never released, and most of the songs are lost. But thanks to rehabilitation and the healing powers of music, Corey forms a band and starts working on songs for his first album, Love Left.
If you notice, you know, I kind of went into this dark pit, you know, which is obviously a big reason why I also never got that success, because I went into a dark hole from the time of Rock and Roll High School until I got out of rehab.
I had lost everything. I had lost my car, I had lost my house.
Then once out of rehab, then, you know, kind of hanging out with all the sober musicians and started recording demos with Mark Caron.
What's up with you? What's up with you?
Corey's music is very unique to Corey. I can hear his influences pretty clearly. You know, he's got a lot of John Lennon in his music. He's got a lot of Michael Jackson in his music, and he has a lot of Pink Floyd. In fact, you know, I always felt like he kind of wanted me to lean in that direction on guitar.
Then that formed into him introducing me to Alan Tiemann.
Al T-Man, I'm a guitar player and bass player and studio guy.
And Alan Tiemann, of course, his brothers, Howard Tiemann and Eric Tiemann, also started working with me.
How determined was he to put a band together, to get an album going?
It was all a blur. That's the best way to, everything was, you know, Hollywood. It was fun as shit, and I don't remember any of it.
I met Corey through our keyboardist, Howard Tiemann, or Howie as we called him. I was playing in a band in Los Angeles throughout the early 90s called the Long Necks. At that time when we met Corey, he was extremely enthusiastic about his newfound sobriety and about going into a musical endeavor after doing some of that before, and obviously doing a lot in his acting career.
I played with Corey. I filled in for my good friend Howard Tiemann. Played a couple of gigs. One of them's at the Derby over there in Hollywood.
I ended up joining the band instead of the guy who introduced me to.
Mark Caron was like, look, I can't do the shows. I can't play live because I'm so busy with my other stuff, but why don't you work with Alan?
There's a guy named Mark London on drums, and then I think Mark Harris took over for him. So we had a series of Marks, drummers. Playing with Corey was super fun. The perks were awesome.
He's always struck me as somebody that's driven. He's got the hunger, you know, and it shows, and so he gets a lot done. And he was always kind to me and friendly, you know, we always got along well.
I don't know how a Jewish kid can move like that. It makes no sense.
And then I met Dave Dunn, and that's when things kind of moved up a notch. And boom, there you had it. The first Corey Feldman band was born, and we played gigs. We went out and actually did shows as a band. And that was the first time I did that, other than the few shows that I did, like the Palace, which were one-offs.
Corey Feldman and I ended up doing a few gigs together, the Derby, and then we also did the Hollywood Parade. That's me and Corey.
Michael Jackson did offer me a very powerful opportunity. After I played him What's Up With the Youth, and that's the only song I ever played him, I took him out to my car in Palm Springs.
Jack, we just wanted to take this moment to say hello. Hello. And we're in Palm Springs.
And this was a big deal because up until then, the only times I'd hung out with Michael was as a little kid, where he was driving. It was his car, and I was going to his house and all that. And this was now I'd just gotten out of rehab, and I was a man, and I was sober, and I was seeing Michael as an adult through sober eyes for the first time, and I played him What's Up With the Youth. And he got so excited by the song. He was like, Corey, this is amazing. This song is incredible, Corey. I'm telling you, I can make it #1. And I'm like, you want the song? And he's like, no, I don't mean for me, for you. I'm saying you could get this all the way to #1. I could walk you in to Tommy Mottola right now, and I could get you a #1 record. I could walk you into CBS and present this song and do it. And I was like, oh, really? That's really sweet of you, Michael, but I don't want to ask you to do that. And he goes, well, you're not asking. I'm telling you I'll do it. And I'm like, you know, I appreciate it, but I always wanted to make it on my own. And I felt like if I was ever going to do it, I would do it on my own. And I don't know, I would feel like if you did that for me, I would just be, you know, riding on your coattails. He's like, okay. Bad business move, eh? Maybe not. Maybe not. Who knows? I probably would have had a very big #1 hit with What's Up With the Youth, and it wouldn't have ended up on Howard Stern so that I could have been made fun of. But, that said, it's probably the reason why I didn't include it on the Love Left album. I think that what Howard Stern did was so embarrassing and made it look like such a joke that it actually got me to not include it in the album. That's the truth of the matter, even though Michael Jackson told me it would be a #1 hit. So I guess I still had some self-destructive patterns left, even though I was out of rehab. I look at some of the career choices that I made at that time and I go, wow, what was I thinking? That was a decision I made on my own, and I think, you know, I kick myself for saying no sometimes. Who knows what would have happened? But the important lesson for me was that I wanted to feel like I wasn't another person there in his life to use him. I felt like he probably had so many people that were just taking him out to their car to play him a song so that they could get something out of it. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't doing it to get something out of it. I just wanted his opinion. And that's all I needed. And for Michael Jackson to tell me that my song could go #1, that's pretty much all I needed to hear.
Voodoo.
It was around then that I did a movie called Voodoo. Now, while I was working on the film Voodoo, I became friends with Donald Borcher.
When I first started to talk about this album with Corey, it was a determination that was equivalent to a certainty. And so I thought I'd put up the money and get it finished and printed and make a few thousand copies so that he'd have them when he did his personal performances, he could sell them in person, that kind of stuff.
I mean, I've got a bunch of songs, I could just slap them together and make a record. So he said, okay, well, you do that, give me some artwork, and I'll put it out.
I'm such a fan of people who set a goal and execute it. And to me, that was what Love Left was. You know, Corey wanted to do this album, and so I wanted to help him get it out.
So we had 1,000 CDs ready to be made, and I'm like, okay, so I go start, you know, looking through my stuff, and I'm like, I need, you know, 10 songs. I got to put out an album. So I then grabbed whatever 10 songs I could find, and as it turned out, I could only find about 6 that were, you know, in decent enough shape to actually put on an album. I wrote Perfect Woman, Lethal Lolita, and Walk as a trilogy for my ex-wife. Listen to the album. What story does it tell? Well, okay, you start off at the beginning, it's Perfect Woman, right? It's like, oh, I've got this vision of this perfect woman. This is love. This is my idea of love. But then you're getting shot down because there is no such thing as a perfect woman. And it's heartbreak. And then it's like, how bad is it? It's Lethal Lolita bad. We did rent a studio in North Hollywood to record Lethal Lolita. That was an individual session, and that came about because of Mark London. Mark London had become friends with this guy named Larry Handelman. And Larry Handelman was like this real smooth talker, fast talker, shuck and jive kind of guy. And he was like, I love your music is great, we're gonna produce you, we're gonna make you the biggest rock star in the world, da 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 da. I said, I'm game, let's do it. So I wrote this great song, Lethal Lolita, which I thought was a great rocker, just chunks along, you know, and it's got really some balls to it. And, you know, you feel it, it feels like a terrible breakup song, you know, it's like one of those songs you just want to scream at your ex-wife as you're grabbing your clothes and running out the door. That's the song. I mean, that's what it is, that's what the emotion is. It's you lying, dirty, I'm not gonna swear, but you know what I'm saying. We got blessed with this magic phone call from my good friend Gavin Menzies, the guitar tech to all the AA guys. And since I had just gotten sober, I knew all these AA guys. Well, Gavin and I were friends, very good friends with Sam Kinison. Sam knew every rock star there was. Here's the lead guitarist from Whitesnake, and here's, you know, the guys from Guns N' Roses. And Gavin started guitar teching for all these guys. So he was in with everybody. So he calls me up and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm in the studio, I'm working on this great track. I need a monster guitarist. Anybody that you could think of would help. And he goes, well, I'm with Lita right now. Would you be interested in having her do it? And my jaw dropped and I'm like, Lita Ford? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah. And literally they showed up 15 minutes later. I turned it on, I played it for Lita, she fell in love with the track, and the first thing she said was, you know, it'd be really nice if there was like an opening piano bit, you know, if there was like some kind of like really nice mellow part of it, you know, that kind of like eased into it. And I was like, it's so funny you said that, because I was actually thinking exactly that. Like, oh yeah, dig that. Picks up the guitar, just starts crying, wailing on it. You know, all that stuff. Amazing. Amazing. Well, what happens then? We learn how to grow. We learn how to move on. We learn how to walk away. And then we got into the racism thing with By God. You are just a by God. You know, it's about, why does racism continue in this country? Why do we continue to act like it doesn't exist? Why do we continue to ignore it? And when are we going to just call it out for what it is? It's bigotry. And as a Jew, I see fascism when it's coming at me. I didn't have any reason to hate any particular group or any particular type of person. All I knew was that I didn't understand the hate. I didn't understand when people would be racist. I didn't understand how they could feel that way or see somebody as different because of the color of their skin. It didn't make sense to me. But I wanted to capture that emotion and encapsulate it with the vibe and the feeling and the ideas behind the song.
After not hearing it for a long, long time, I sensed that our keyboard player, Howie Tiemann, might have had something to do with that progression. You know, at that time, most of the songs that we wrote were kind of in the blues and R&B 1-4-5 sort of pattern, and having Howard in the band really, for our band at least, helped us create some more complex compositions.
Well, what else is going on? What else do I love about this world? Well, I love doing concerts, I love performing, but I'm a bit depressed.
They tear you down, they expect you not to cry, no. They make you king, then steal your crown.
Why? Well, because of all the press and all the things that are going on in the world, the way they build you up, but they tear you down, and you can't get respect, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, well, let's look at some of our leaders, some of our heroes. Look at what happened to John Lennon. Look what happened to River Phoenix. All because of the media. Boom. So we're talking about the media in my life. We're talking about how they've kind of started lashing out at me, and I used to be the golden child, but now I'm a bad guy, all because I did some drugs. Uh-oh.
So on the song Depressed, that one was really special for me for one reason, really, primarily, and that was the fact that we walked in the studio. I think we recorded it at a home studio somewhere in Hollywood, and there is this guy, Hunt Sales. And for anyone watching this who doesn't know who Hunt Sales is, which would probably be people that aren't musicians, if you've heard the album or song by Iggy Pop, Lust for Life, Hunt and Tony Sales were the rhythm section, Tony Sales being the bass player, Hunt being the drummer. So I walk in and they're like, yeah, here's Hunt. I'm like, Hunt Sales? Yeah. And so that was one of the, honestly, musical highlights of my life. This song is a much funkier sort of approach than a drummer like Hunt Sales, I think, was used to playing. And I've not heard him play anything that has this kind of push and pull, funky R&B rock feel.
When you love the one you're with, you've got to tell her. When you know how to give to a child, give it, ooh, just live it.
I remember saying, like, I've got this song, and if I'm gonna put an album together, I really want this song on the album, but we've got to update it because this old, drum machine isn't going to work. And Alfonso and I haven't spoken in many years, and I just don't think I would feel right about putting, an album out with him on it without us being close or without us talking. Which a lot of people will probably say, well, why are you doing it now, since we haven't really spoken since? But honestly, I feel like at this point, it's better to have it out there for the fans than not have it out there. And it's nothing he should be embarrassed about anyway. So I hope if he does get to hear it, he's proud of it, because he did a brilliant performance. And then we got into the whole topic of this album. Is there any love left in the universe? It's a good question.
Is there any love left in the universe? I'm gonna get there.
We got to be creative. And I think it really stood out on that track, not because I'm on it, on the left track, but I thought it was pretty dynamic. I just listened back to it after we had spoken, and I was like, wow, that was pretty good.
And then we did Dream a Little Dream 2. I put it into my contract again, like I did with the first movie, that I was only going to do the film if I could put music in it, and they agreed. So they said, what have you got, what have you got? I played them a bunch of stuff, and they loved Perfect Woman, because the movie was about this sexy, kind of evil vixen, I guess you would say, who is there to capture the hearts of all that she manipulated and stole from and gained power by controlling. And that was her character. Her name was Lena. So they wanted this theme for her, and Perfect Woman became that theme. So Dream a Little Dream 2 is probably my greatest musical contribution ever to film, because literally the whole film is composed with my music. We go in to do Feeling Funky, and then we get to the dance sequence, and it was like, I remember the producers coming to me saying, we need a dance sequence. And I'm like, what do you mean you need a dance sequence? And they're like, yeah, we need a dance sequence. And I'm like, it's a movie about two guys chasing around, these people who have stolen their sunglasses, and then there's these cops and robbers, and there's like this whole, it's a shoot 'em up kind of caper movie, a car chase caper movie. How the hell are you going to fit a dance sequence in there? Somehow we kind of crammed it in there, where all of a sudden we get the boxes, and Corey Haim's greatest fantasy as Dinger is to see me dance with, these stupid sunglasses on in the middle of our kitchen. But I guess you could say, Corey breaks into a dance in the middle of the bleachers in the high school. It's probably just as bizarre, right? So there you go. And next thing you know, we bring in Dean Pleasance on guitar, and he's wacka, 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 wacka.
He was very creative. He knew exactly what he wanted to hear. He knew what sounds he wanted. He knew the kind of guitar, like I was kind of playing, and he would, have something in his head, And I remember he would hum stuff to me, and once I got it to where he liked it, he was like, okay, that's it. Like, that's the part, you know.
All that funky guitar.
I guess that's me. I'm the funk guy, you know.
And that was it. 9 hours. I did all the vocals. I did like rhythmic vocals. I did a cappella percussion, all the backgrounds, all the layers, all the harmonies, everything. And there you had it. You had the perfect album. I said, that's it. That's the album. We're good. And then when I listened to the album, it was great. But then I remembered it doesn't tell a story. So what is the story of Love Left? What is the arc of the story? This story has got to be, because I think everything should tell a story. Every song should tell a story, and every album should be a piece of music. I don't think it should be a grouping of distorted thoughts. I think it should be a cohesive grouping of distorted thoughts. And I had already done Vision for You. Because I had met with a guy from Motown who had heard my stuff and loved it and said that he wanted to make me the next, the white Michael Jackson. And I said, okay, well, that sounds great. As long as I'm not using Michael to do it, I have no problem with that. And they said, look, we'll do it as a demo. If we decide to sign you, then it'll be one of our first songs in your catalog. If we don't decide to sign you, then you can have the song as a gift. Fine. So we made Vision for You. They decided not to go forward. Mark Karen came in and played on that song as well. But we ended up not making a deal. I kept the song, so that gave me the ability to put it on the record. It's so simple if we want to change it. And I'm the one who's got the vision. I can see it. It's right here. I've got a vision for you. The message was all there. The story was all there. That's why we're here. We're here because of the love left from you, the love left in me, and the love left in the world around us that we can pull from. We can pull from that energy to engage and expand the love for others. Just to walk you through how the process happened that we made this whole thing. All right, let's talk about this box. Let's talk about how we ended up getting here. It all started with a conversation with Don Dawkins.
I ended up finding, 8 reels of tape in my garage that were like 35 years old, and I ended up making a record called The Lost Tape, 78 to 1980. And I told him, how I was going to take these tapes and I was going to go and take all these old demos that never saw the light of day and never came out as a Dawkins album. And he said, oh man, I'd like to do that. And he said, I'd like to take all my songs that I've done over my life and put them all together and compile them all together. And so I just thought I'd help him out as a brother and say, look, give me the tapes. Let me try to save them, bake them.
The fact that we got these superb, clean tracks was amazing. So we were really excited to get almost every song from the album. We found a few surprises that we didn't know we even had. We didn't even know they still existed, such as the original recording of It's So Simple, the demo, and the original Rock Us Danny and Rock Us Danny Part 2. All 3 of those songs, which we thought were lost by the wayside, gone forever, here they are. And not only do we have them, but we have them transferred meticulously so that we are able to put them into Pro Tools, divide out every single track, and then do a full mix and remaster on them. Not that they were ever mastered in the first place, because those songs just fell into the abyss. But now we have the ability, with my knowledge of music and technology today that I didn't have back then, and I was able to actually update them, modernize them.
And I'm longing to linger to dawn, dear.
And Mickey and I got together for the 30th anniversary of Dream a Little Dream, and as a tribute to, Corey, Mark Rocco, the amazing friends and artists that we lost, Jason Robards, Harry Dean.
We reconnected and Corey said, let's do this 30-year anniversary thing of Dream a Little Dream. And I said, hey, I'm in, man.
And then Mickey and I reworked and reimagined the hit song Dream a Little Dream.
Corey has no shortage of ideas. As a producer, he's just throwing everything at me, and I'm going, okay, great, let's try that, let's try this, and then we'd feed off of each other. I came up with some ideas for some background vocals that he liked, and he said, yeah, let's do that.
And we actually are very thrilled with what we came up with. So great history with that song. And we included that also on the new album.
Corey hears the record in his head. He's got, if you could just hook up a cassette player or a Pro Tools rig, since this is the new millennium, but if you could hook up a Pro Tools rig to the guy's head, okay, you would get a record.
All those people in the world who don't know how a song gets made from scratch, we just wanted to show you how a song gets made from scratch. So it's like ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. Check it on the whiteboard. The blackboards, maybe they will make fun. Do you think they have gonna stop?
Play this game by God. By God. We should be by God.
Roll your blueprint, activating the truthness. On the comeback, overcoming the comeback. Turn the lights on, cameras out, guess who's back? The lost boy been redefined.
I love working with Corey. It's truly an experience. Every emotion, laugh. We do a lot of laughing. A lot of trying to change the world one song at a time.
Break it down.
Here we go.
All right, very exciting. First time I've heard this in 20 years. Here we go.
They're gonna run to a lovesick getaway. A big green beard, wearing emotions, never play. Take a trip, close your eyes. On the side, make it, stop the time. I've been pushed down, stepped on, it's fine. But I know I ride the road. All I need is love and dance. Just one place to look, that's deep inside.
So you make Corey's vision come to life. I make Corey's vision come to life. Thank you. You're welcome.
Art is subjective, right? So the whole point of art is you create something and then you evoke an emotion. And if that emotion is love, then we've struck gold. If that emotion is hate, then, maybe we've struck like fool's gold. But we've still struck something that's an emotion. So it means we're winning anyway in the battle of creating art. It does show people that I'm not willing to be stylized and I'm not willing to conform to anything. That's been my motto. I'm not going to play anybody's puppet, and I've never wanted to do that. So I've been very, very fortunate, and God has blessed me with you guys, the fans, to allow me the opportunity and the ability to play this game by my rules, which is to basically get as much art to you as possible as often as I can. And now God has given me the great fortune of building this great studio in my home, and the great friendship with Greg that we have to be able to create such great music. So I feel very blessed to be able to do exactly what we're doing and record music and make music directly for you and not have anybody tell us how to do it, what we're doing, what sound we have to follow, what style we have to follow. When you buy a CF record, you know that you're gonna get a box of goods. You're gonna get a surprise in every song. You're never going to have to worry about hearing the same song twice. Never. You're never going to get like, oh wow, the next one's going to sound just like the one before it. Never going to happen. You could never predict by reading the song title what type of a song it's going to be. We've even got reggae on this new album. And that's kind of the whole idea, is that this is a very international, global kind of a worldly feel to it. You know, we've got all kinds of culture dripped into this thing. From the instrumentation to the players to the artists that are involved. You know, we keep it multicultural for a reason, because that's what Love Left is all about. That's how love returns.
It's so simple. Why don't we just take some time?
When Love Left came out, we couldn't give it away. I mean, that's the irony of all this, is that when we first put this album out, I had 1,000 copies sitting in my garage for decades. I mean, literally decades. It's amazing how times change. Love Left was the album that would have been forgotten had it not been for the fabulous miracle of YouTube and digital music streaming services. And I remember I was blown away at how much it was selling. Like, everybody was listening to it. And I was like, how is this happening? I mean, I had this stuff for years and nobody cared. So it's just great to see. It's great to see that after, you know, only 30 years, people are appreciating the music. I guess you could say it was ahead of its time.
And that's the story of Love Left. Corey's music is all about spreading the message of peace, love, and positive energy. Changing the world, one song at a time.
Yeah!